questions for Trevor.
Jeremiah Irby looked like he had a nice day today. A pick, a couple of bat downs at the end.
Yeah.
Has he been dealing with injury issues?
No.
Not as much out there this fall.
No, we've been rotating a lot of guys. We've got a really competitive group, so guys are just moving around. I think he's finding his groove, right? I think sometimes we take for granted he's only a sophomore because of his impact as a freshman. So no, guys are just moving around, and he had a really good day today.
Is he largely in a battle with Wood for a starting position?
Man, they're all competing.
Yeah.
They're all competing, you know, and I think that's the blessing that we have, man. Multiple guys that can go in with no hesitation, that can play at a high level. So that's exciting.
We see the interceptions, but what did you like about your secondary the last couple of days?
I think just communication. I think, you know, especially the teams we're going to have to face and the moving parts that they have, man, they're executing at a high level. So that's the one thing we're emphasizing and we're taking away from each day.
Can you speak to the impact on Noel and the impact he's had on guys like Jeremiah and everyone else?
Yeah, man. You know, when you bring another competitive guy into the room, you know, it's like a bunch of pit bulls, you know, all scratching and itching at each other. So it's been great to have them all together.
He seems to play with a bit of an edge. What do you like about just his attitude and personality?
I think, you know, that's him. You know, he's always been a very competitive individual, and he's taken, you know, a very serious approach, you know, as a professional, taking care of his body and doing the little things. So that's what drives him each day to, you know, give his best.
Coach, you talked about the communication in the secondary. How is that when you've got two coaches, not just one voice? You've got two different coaches talking to you. How is that dynamic working, and how is that for you?
I think it started with us communicating. You know what I'm saying? We sat down, we talk about everything, we plan it out to look at, okay, what do we need to emphasize, what do we need to focus on, you know, even in meetings, so we can bounce off each other. I think it's important for the group because they all hear one language, right? So we speak the same terms, the same abbreviation, so it flows, and the guys have taken to it, and it's been pretty good.
Make it easier when there's not one guy and there's two of you that can bounce ideas off of each other and things like that. And
I think for us, we're very similar. You know, both of us played in this conference, so you kind of have an expectation or know what to expect. And then at the same time, just having a verse mind, you know, being around Justin Wilcox, who's a great, you know, defensive mind guy who's done it for long years. We're all picking knowledge, and, you know, TB's background and where he's been and being able to pick knowledge, so we just been able to mesh it all together.
Did you guys have to sit down before the season and say, hey, this is how we got to approach this?
Yeah.
And you guys came up with a plan then?
Absolutely. And, you know, and it's always changing adjustment because the guys are changing adjustment. So as we get to see them and how they're taking to, okay, how can we tweak this? How can we fix this? And it's been good.
And the players seem receptive to the
Absolutely.
two voices. Good.
And I think the biggest thing, man, we have no pride in it all. You know what I'm saying? We're both young coaches that's continue trying to push our guys to the highest level as possible. So there's no pride from us, so it reflects in the room. They can't have no pride.
Did you play against each other in college?
We did. You know, we jokingly always talk about that 2012 game when Stanford came up to Washington. You know what I'm saying? So we got them when it was number 5. I like to rub it in his face a little bit.
Dolphins like to hear that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of hearing additional voices, what's like having Josh Drayton to help bridge the gap if necessary on anything?
I think it's great, you know, we're, as much as we don't want to admit it, you know, we're the old guys now, you know, and so having a young voice that has seen it and, you know, had an opportunity, you know, with the Commanders and has continued to come back. He's an all-time games leader for Cal history, so Josh is, you know, his input is vital and it's good.
And then in the 11-on-11, what's it like with you and the rest of the DB coaches going against Burl Toller when the flags are thrown?
Oh man, you know, it's all good. We're just trying to continue to push each other and hold the standard and look at. We play in a passing conference, you know, or there's a lot of 6 of the top 15 offenses are in the conference right now. So we want to make sure, even if we're going to take it to film, we're going to always review it, but we want to be overly anal to make sure we're cleaning up our details and technique.
I know it's not the first thing on your mind, but you mentioned your history in the conference. What have been your thoughts on just all the realignment stuff that's gone on?
I think it's unfortunate. You know, I think it's fortunate for the history and, you know, the rivalries and all that means to a lot of people. You know, a lot of things outside of our control, but we focus on what we can control, and that's one day at a time and looking for whatever the opportunity holds.
Like the big C hat. Old school.
It is. I mean, I have no responsibility with the selection that we get. You know, whatever's available, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be able to put it on.
Watch a little Cal baseball?
You know, I dibble and dabble.
Okay.
I'm not too expert, you know, with expertise on it, but, you know, I'm sure we, you know, support everything that's going on here at Cal.
What have you thought overall, just the play of the secondary, especially the last couple of days?
Yeah, I mean, through, I think this is practice 13, 14. I lose count, to be honest with you. Yeah, 14. And I think we've shown signs of improvement. It's definitely been a competitive fall camp, which, we challenge our guys all the time just to be competitors, to go out there, put their best foot forward, play physical, play fast, play with confidence. Our jobs as coaches, both Trey Watson and myself, build confidence in our guys. And we've been able to recognize that they're becoming more and more confident in their ability, more and more confident in each other, more confident in us as coaches, and realizing that we're putting them in the best positions to be successful. And so it's been competitive going against the wideouts, it's been competitive going against the offense, and we're just continuing trying to improve to help this team be better this year.
Coach Summer mentioned that the takeaways are kind of a byproduct of just being in the right spot, execution, everything that kind of leads up to that. Is that kind of the same view for you?
Well, the message that we preach with our guys is if you're just doing the right thing, you're doing what you're coached to do, sometimes the ball just happens to magically fall in your hands, or sometimes you just happen to magically make a tackle and the ball pops out. But if you trust the coaching, you all you do is what you're coached to do. 9 times out of 10, the results, truly fall in your favor.
You guys are that guy. How's that dynamic worked out for you? He was saying the biggest thing is that you guys put your pride aside, and that has trickled down to the players that there's no pride. Is that a big point that you and he had to get settled, squared away before things took off?
Well, I think ultimately, man, it's all about the grace of God. We thank God for the positions that we in. We understand that He's blessed us with the ability to, impact, mentor, coach, develop young men. And so when that's at the root of our purpose of what it is that we're doing, our pride does not come into the equation at all. We're able to put that aside. We're able to just give them our best. We work really well hand in hand together. We're bouncing ideas off of one another. We are helping each other improve individually. And collectively, that's what allows for us to give our best foot forward towards our guys and have them come out here and believe that they truly can accomplish whatever it is that they have set out for themselves. And so it's for us to model that. And we model that in the meeting room. We model that out here on the field. We model that around the facilities, just showing them how well we mesh together. And it's crazy, the more and more we have conversations with each other, the more and more we have in common with one another. We're from 2 different upbringings. I'm from LA, he's from Seattle. And yet we have a lot more in common than, most people would expect. And so, and one of that being our faith. And, both being men of God, helps us out and tremendously to be able to just pour our best into our players and help them grow.
Has it been a smooth thing? And when you were first approached about this idea of having another guy work back there with you and not just a secondary coach, how much time did you guys spend together talking things out and, hey, this is how we should do it, let's do this, let's do that? How much did you guys meet before everything got done?
Honestly, before it became official, we may have exchanged text messages with one another. And just saying, grateful that it's one of us. I'm grateful that it's him, and he's grateful that it's me, because we had prior interactions with each other prior to me starting here with him. He was an alum at the University of Washington, and I was coaching at the University of Washington, so we had the chance to interact with each other during that time. So we knew of each other. And so, when I got the job and came here, the transition was very smoothly. We worked really hard to make sure that we're on the same page, that we're seeing things the same way, that we're communicating things the same way. So I would say it was a smooth transition, not challenging at all.
Is there any point when one of you is trying to make a point and the other one says, no, let's do this, let's do this? Or is it pretty smooth? Because like you say, you worked together previously, and you already know what to expect from each other. Yeah,
I think, like I said, we're both selfless individuals. We're both selfless individuals, and if we have something that we may be in a disagreement with, not saying that that's the case. If we have anything that we may be in a disagreement about, we'll talk about that after the meeting. And we'll sit down independently and not do that in front of the kids. Because at the end of the day, we want them to see us at our best version. So we work really well together.
It seems like there's been a real ebb and flow to camp so far. The defense was pretty dominated, and the offense had a few practices where they seemed like they took the lead, and now these last couple of the D's really stepped up. A lot of turnovers. Is it a good thing for? I mean, you guys want to dominate every practice, but is it a good thing for the team ultimately if both sides take turns having good days?
Yeah, I think from playing experience and having had the opportunity to coach at this level, going into my 9th season. I think this is how fall camp goes. I think it's all about, at the end of the day, making the whole team better. And so some days the defense is going to have their days, and some days the offense is going to have their days. But at the end of the day, as long as we're being competitive, we got that competitive greatness, the team has the opportunity to continue to grow and improve and get better. And so, Coach Spavital and Coach Sherman are doing a really good job as coordinators, putting the guys in the best position to be successful and trying to utilize the strengths that we have on our offense and defense, and it's showcasing out here. And it's been fun to watch and to witness, and just to see the guys again just take strides each day in and out.
Those guys are playing a little chess against each other.
Yeah, I think they're both brilliant minds, so they work really well together. To be honest with you, they're always in communication with one another, and I think that helps out a lot. I think that helps out a lot when both of the coordinators are on the same page of things that they need to work on, suggesting, requesting it, and ultimately it shows out here when our guys are going at it and they're competing at a high level.
Talking to Cam Sidney today, what have you seen from him so far through camp?
I've seen a lot of growth. To come in, as a freshman, to come from a winning program in modern day. I know we definitely sought out after that in terms of him understanding what it takes to get the job done and work ethic and how to compete. And, for it to be a full year and then coming into this season, the spring and then coming into fall camp, I've seen a lot of growth. Not just out here on the football field, but off the field as well. And I think that's when, you're taking strides in all areas of your lives. You can start to recognize some ascension, and whether it's, on the field or it's off the field. And so we're excited about what he's been able to do so far this fall camp. We're excited about the impact that he's going to have on the team this upcoming season. I think he's going to do some really good things.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.